how applicable do you think the lessons from Hubble and maintainability and repair and upgrade are to innovative and important projects in general? So kind of how applicable have you found these lessons?
I have found them 100% applicable in virtually every project and activity I've been a part of since the Hubble flight. And one point of applicability is, and this really came home to me more fully as I was doing my research to write the book, I certainly in my everyday life, maybe it's pretty common, we celebrate innovation, especially in our country and our culture. We almost fetishize innovation. Did you innovate? Did you do something new? Is it creative? And so that has become, I think, without thinking about it, we tend to connect everything having to do with creativity to innovation and inventiveness. And, maintenance is the tacky stuff you have to do that isn't any fun. And it's kind of the drudge part, it's sort of fix the leaky faucet kind of idea. And so we've set up mental constructs that are stark dichotomy. One is creative and one is inventive and the other is not. It's right. Dull and drudgy, and who would want to do that? And part of what the Hubble story reveals to me is how false that dichotomy is. The amount of inventiveness and creativity and ingenuity that went into designing for maintainability at the start of Hubble, and then actually delivering on the promise of the maintainability. When Hubble was first designed and on the drawing boards and being built, the list of items that were intended to be maintainable and replaceable was not everything on the telescope. It was just a certain set of them. By the time I joined the program in the mid-'80s with my colleague Bruce McCandless, the Hubble world had realized the list that can be maintained needs to be longer than this list. It's not true that we're ever going to bring this back to the ground to do the other stuff.
Right.
We need to be able to sustain all of Hubble on orbit. And so suddenly the team that I was working with had to look at all these other components that had kind of gotten less attention from a maintainability point of view. And we had to figure out and invent the means of making them maintainable, although they had been excluded from that consideration in the beginning. A whole bunch of the unique tools that were invented and produced for Hubble at the beginning came about. They were spurred by that need. You suddenly told me I'm going to have to do all of these things. I thought I was only have to do that. Whoa, let's figure this out. And if you look through the 5 servicing missions that happened, which all happened after the time frame that I cover in my book, essentially every one of those crews, and I don't mean just the astronauts, I mean all the engineers that were involved with Hubble and its maintainability, they had to invent and create over and over and over again. On one of the final servicing missions, instead of pull a box out and put a new one in, they pulled the cover, the outside cover, off a precision optical instrument and went in and changed individual circuit boards. We would never have it. That's like microscopic hand surgery compared to what we were planning for in the 85 to 90 time frame. So it's just dead wrong to think that maintainability and sustainability and maintenance are unsexy, unexciting, uncreative things to do. And I guess the other broad lesson is the think ahead lesson, the think ahead to ensure productivity and reliability, usefulness and value over a long time frame. We create these valuable, significant, major structures and instruments, and we should all want to ensure the largest dividend is paid out of them after the fact.